everybody, it is April and I'm in my craft room, and today we are going to make another 3-yard quilt called Illusions. This 3-yard quilt comes from the book Modern Views, and let me get you a close-up of it. Good thing I'm not a surgeon and my hands are not that steady. All right, let me show you the fabric that I'm going to use to make this quilt. My fabric one is going to be a fabric that I have been hanging on to for a while, and it's got puppies. It is not directional. I haven't figured out how to do directional with this one yet, but it's got Gracie on it, so you know I have to do it. Fabric 2 happens to be a small print, and it is a brown polka dot. It ties in the brown in the fabric 1. So fabric 2 and fabric 3 is not going to be this fabric because this fabric has crabs on it. And fabric 3 is a bright red distressed fabric. So this particular quilt, there are 2 different widths. That's it. So it comes together pretty quickly. So let's get cutting. So now what we're doing is putting our strips on our wider long pieces. So for each fabric you'll have 2 strips. You'll have a strip on each side of your wider fabric, and you've got 2 different pieces of the wider fabric. Both are the same width, but one is half as long as the other. So this is fabric 1 and fabric 2. The next strip set that we're going to put together consists of fabric 3. So I need to pull out my long strip and my short strip, the wider, and then I'm going to take these skinny strips of fabric 1 and attach those. So I should have 2 shorter strips, and then I have all kinds of longer strips that I can use. So I will attach that, and you do this for fabric 1 and 2 and 3. So essentially you're just mixing up the strips that are connected to your different fabrics. So we'll have a strip set with fabric 1 and fabric 2, a strip set with fabric 3 and fabric 1, and another strip set with fabric 2 and fabric 3. Got my strip set together for fabric 3, bordered by fabric 1. And you saw this one, which is fabric 1 bordered by fabric 2. Now I need to do fabric 2 bordered by fabric 3. Okay, so all of my strip sets are together, and now what we're going to do is cut them apart. So I've got my block C that will be cut from this. Put those over here, and then I've got block B, which will be cut from this, and block A that will be cut from this. So I am just going to stack them on top of one another. I think I'm going to stack the short ones on top of the short ones and the long ones on top of the long ones and get to cutting. I am taking an assembly line approach to the rest of this project. So what I have is what is going to become block A, and I need to add the polka dot brown to each side. The same goes for block B. I need to add the dog fabric to each side, and the same goes for block C. Red fabric to each side. I've already cut my strips, so I'm going to just take my block and my strips, and I'm going to start chain piecing. Let me show you what I mean. Now there will be those of you who will cringe when you see me do this. And I apologize ahead of time, but I need to get this quilt done. I'm taking it to a baby shower and I need it finished. So I'm going to start by sewing one side on. Going to take the strip to which I have added one side of the block, and I'm going to add the other side. It isn't any different. It's just both sides will be pressed out at the same time. I now have what look like ladders. I have one short one and two longer ones. What I need to do is press open each side, and then I'm going to trim in between. I always press my strip towards my block, so you can see that my seams are going in towards the block. That means that my whole strip is straight. I think that makes it easier to trim. This next part I can do with a smaller ruler. First, I'm going to trim the outside of my block. Wow. I had a lot of ruler movement there. All right, then I'm going to trim the other side. Sorry, I'm ambidextrous. I'm going to take advantage of it. And there is a perfect block. And when I trim the outside, I measure from the seam to the outside instead of just lining up. I used to just line it up and make sure it was straight, but I found that I get a better cut, a more accurate cut, if I line the seam that I'm cutting away from up. So I know exactly how wide this strip should be. So I put my line on the seam of my block, on the inside block, and then I trim. And there I have another block. I'm going to do that with the rest of my blocks, and I'll be back. I have all my blocks ready to go. So here I have block A. Here I have block B. Making sure I'm not lying to you. Here I have block C. In the book, there is a diagram showing me exactly where to place each block. And at first I was going to put it up on my design wall, but then I was going to be lazy because I have to get up, get the piece, both pieces, sit down, sew them, get up, get the pieces. So I'm going to try something different. Instead of placing this all on my design wall, I'm going to have a stack of A, B, and C. And I'm going to look at my diagram and I'm going to try and sew them that way, and we'll see how it goes. I've sewn all my blocks into rows. Now I'm going to sew all my rows together and add the border. My quilt is done. I really like the way it turned out with this fun dog fabric. I also have another color wave. Here is another color wave that I used. I haven't put the border on yet, but that's the next thing I'm gonna do. The answer to the joke that I put earlier, why is a Christmas tree so bad at sewing, is it always drops its needles. You know, it's really hard to find quilting jokes and sewing jokes. I'm gonna have to do a more extensive search on the internet. Thank you for watching. I very much appreciate it. If you've already forgotten, this is the IIlusions quilt from the 3-yard quilting book, Modern Views, by Donna Robertson. It turns out great. It's easy to cut. There is a lot of sewing. There are smaller pieces than some of our other quilts, but I think it's worth the time and the effort. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to see more videos like this one. Ignore my family in the background and my dog. Have a great day, eat some chocolate, and be kind to everyone. Until next time, bye. So that makes it a better trim as far. Blah, la, 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 la. In the book, there is a diagram showing me exactly where each block goes. When you hear whining, right here. Right here. The answer to the joke that I put earlier.